Want to talk a little bit about the alliance of Donald Trump, the worst president in American history, and Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. I think it's a pretty toxic partnership. Um, and, both men appeared at an event I believe it was in Butler, Pennsylvania. It was deliberately, obviously, that was the site of the assassination attempt. So it was deliberately sort of making a statement there. This is a picture, I'm just going to show you. It's from the newspaper, yesterday's I believe, yeah, the 7th of October, 2 days ago. Yeah, that's Elon Musk, richest man in the world, prancing up and down like a teenager at rock concerts. Yep. I'm going to read out the report here because I think it's quite telling. And I think that before I get into this, I've never particularly liked Trump. For a while, I sort of gave Musk the benefit of the doubt. I thought, okay, he's astronomically rich, but there may be some redeeming features. I mean, Bill and Melinda Gates are multi-billionaires, but they're great philanthropists. I struggle to see much likable about Elon Musk. I think he is. I stand by what I said before. I think he is a cheerleader for chaos. Um, he talks about having free speech within the law on his platforms as a caveat. But I honestly think if he could get away with it, Musk would say anything can go. I think Musk would be absolutely fine with violent threats being made online. I think he'd be fine with it. Um, it's all a question of money for him because he's already insanely rich. It's not about money, but it's about his platform and his ego. Other multi-billionaires tend to be a little bit more subtle, or they just don't. I think there's something about Musk's personality. It's sort of maverick, and perhaps that's why some people like him. But I, I just don't get a good vibe from the guy. I mean, the lies that he spurns out. Maybe this is why he supports Trump. They're both, prolific liars. But when we had the summer riots in Britain, he falsely said that Starmer was sending rioters to the Falklands. That's a lie. He falsely claims that we are akin to the Soviet Union because people inciting violence are facing legal consequences. And I think there is a debate to be had about online content and how that is policed, and i.e., should the police be putting resources to online disputes? I agree with that. But what Musk is conflating is this idea that violent threats somehow are part of free speech. Um, because that's what people face legal action for in the summer's unrest. It wasn't for just saying something offensive. There was explicit incitement going on there, which of course Musk has no problem with. But I looked at this, by the way. I haven't just read this report. I looked at the rally speeches, and it was kind of sickening. Anyway, here we go. Reports by Caolan McGee, that's Caolan, and Amelia Randall. Elon Musk joined Donald Trump on stage as he returned to the scene where a gunman tried to assassinate him in July. Tech mogul Musk, who owns Tesla, SpaceX, and X, formerly Twitter, said he was backing the Republican candidate as the Democratic Party wanted to strip Americans of the right to vote, and suggested that if Trump does not win in November, this will be the last election. He provided zero evidence for that bizarre claim. I mean, if I'm sorry, I'm interrupting the flow here, but I have to say this. If anyone has a right to be angry about disenfranchisement when it comes to American democracy, it's the Democrats who've been disadvantaged by the Electoral College system. On two occasions, 2000 and 2016, and this is probably a point I'll repeat in other videos because I think it's important. The Democratic candidate got more votes, yet the Republican won the presidency. But you didn't see Democrats reacting the same way as those who stormed the US Capitol. This is a very important point. I think the Electoral College system is flawed because one voter in Wyoming effectively has a power of about three or four voters in New York, California, or Florida. So it's a deeply flawed system, in my opinion. Um, anyway, I'll continue this. A billboard on the way into the rally at the Butler farm showed grounds in Pennsylvania read, "In Musk we trust." The South African billionaire wore a cap with Trump's slogan, "Make America Great Again," and appeared to acknowledge the foreboding nature of his remarks. "As you can see, I am not just MAGA, I am dark MAGA," he said. I mean, this is cartoonish. This is cartoonish. Musk is a prima donna who, I wouldn't say stupid, right? Clearly, he's the richest man in the world. He's clearly not stupid. But there's something very unpleasant about his personality, this sort of frat boy type humor. There's something about it that's I find quite obnoxious. This was the first time that Musk joined one of Trump's rallies and is a further sign of the growing alliance in the final stretch of the presidential election. Musk created a super political action committee supporting the Republican nominee, and it has been outspreading heavily on get out the vote efforts. Trump has said he would tap Musk to lead a government efficiency commission if he regains the White House. Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, also got a stage to speak before the former president reflected on the assassination attempt while criticizing Democrats for calling Trump a threat to democracy. Well, he is a threat to democracy, as we saw from the events of January the 6th. You heard the shots, you saw the blood. We all feared the worst, but you know everything will be okay when President Trump raised his fist high in the air and shouted, "Fight, fight," said Vance. "Now I believe it as sure as hell as I'm standing here today that what happened was a true miracle." Trump falsely claimed his rivals maybe tried to kill me. Trump was struck when 20-year-old shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks opened fire from a nearby unsecured rooftop before he was fatally shot by US security services. Trump said those who want to stop us have slandered me, impeached me, indicted me, tried to throw me off the ballot, and who knows, maybe even tried to kill me. I've said before, it's a dangerous thing to say that because Trump has been subject to violence, he therefore shouldn't be criticized. This is the narrative that some on the right are taking, that criticism of Trump, very legitimate criticism of Trump, is somehow inciting violence against him. This is absurd, absolutely absurd. Vance knows full well that, so does Musk, and so does Trump's other supporters. They know that when these assassination attempts happened, senior Democrats like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris immediately condemned it. Joe Biden even offered extra security. Um, so it's simply false to accuse the Democrats of doing that. Trump's also blaming the media for that. The people to blame are those individuals who done it. But it's pretty rich for him to talk about incitement, and I mean, it's incredible for Trump supporters to talk about incitement. When Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer faced a kidnapping attempt, now thankfully it was infiltrated, but had that happened, goodness knows what those Trump supporters would have done to her. Um, Instead of simply condemning it, Trump gave the cardinal answer that he condemns all violence, and then actually furthered attacks on her instead of just condemning it and saying this is wrong. I disavow the people who've done this. It's wrong, and they should be held to justice. He couldn't bring himself to do that. When Nancy Pelosi's husband was violently attacked in his own home, there were Republicans who condemned it. Trump failed to. So did Trump's lackeys. So I think it's pretty hypocritical for Trump Republicans to be preaching about civility in politics and inciting violence when they literally make joking memes about violence against Democrats. It's pathetic hypocrisy. Um, Also, this idea that Trump is somehow a stabilizing force in American politics is a bad joke. It really is a bad joke. How many senior Democrats have went over to his campaign? I don't include, by the way, Robert Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. Gabbard has been detached from the Democratic Party for quite a long time now. Robert Kennedy Jr. is an independent. So they can't really be held up as defected Democrats in the same way that you get lifelong Republicans who have went over to the Harris campaign. Um, but Musk told two lies at this rally. He needs to be called out for it because he's made a thing of calling other people liars. You know, when he's challenged in interviews, there was a famous interview on the BBC where he said, "Oh, you just lied." Well, he told two lies. He lied about the Democrats' gun grabbing. That's an old narrative that the gun lobby like to churn out, and it's utterly baseless. No Democrat president, even if they wanted to, has ever tried to grab millions of lawful guns. It just hasn't happened. It's a lie. It's a scaremongering lie. It's just false. Yes, they want tougher gun regulation, but that's not the same as taking away legal guns from people who are genuinely responsible owners. So Musk is just being a weasel for coming out with that line, um, because I think he knows it's not true. This is the thing that's pretty despicable about Elon Musk. Unlike some Trump supporters, I don't think he's stupid. I think he knows full well what he's saying. I think he knows that he's lying. And as for, this will be the last election, absolute nonsense. So it's a toxic combination, and it makes me even more want to see a Harris victory on November the 4th, I believe it is. I don't think I've ever wanted a victory in an American presidential election this much in my lifetime, and I've lived through 10 American presidential elections, about six or seven that I was old enough to sort of be aware of. Um, I mean, you just see the different values. Kamala Harris was telling people in Florida and North Carolina, and other states affected by these devastating hurricanes, please pack up. This is life and death situation. You need to leave. That's leadership. Donald Trump uses that as an opportunity to, yes, he did visit hurricane sites, but he used it as an opportunity to attack Harris and say her numbers are plunging in those states, whether true or not. This is typical of Trump. He will attack someone for an issue that is not related directly to the election. She's doing what a leader should do. He just uses it to, attack her. This is typical Trump. He done this before when a group of Native American World War II veterans were getting presidential honors from Trump. He praised them and he said, they were great veterans and all the rest of it. But then he started getting into this diatribe about Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren. This is typical of Trump. His traction is, what was it? He called it the weave. The guy is deranged. I think Trump is actually mentally unstable. I certainly don't think he's fit for the White House. Um, I was going to talk about JD Vance, but maybe I'll make that in another video. But I think this pair are despicable, and they get a lot of laughs and a lot of cheers, and there's a certain demographic that I think like that. They like this sort of swaggering billionaires who, you know, denounce the left. There's a certain trope for it. There's a certain sort of appeal to that among certain conservatives. But this is no joke. We're talking about a presidential election in the world's third most populous country and the world's most powerful country. And I think it would be a tragedy, A, if Trump gets back in again, but B, if the likes of Elon Musk swayed that election. I suppose you could argue there's powerful backers on both sides. I mean, Taylor Swift is probably the biggest name in music today, and she obviously backed Harris, um, which led Trump to make that erratic tweet about he hates Taylor Swift, as if she has some loyalty owed to him or something like that. It's pathetic. Um, but the lies and the lies and the more lies that come out from the Trump campaign, it's ridiculous. And yes, you'll find a few lies on the Democrat side as well, but dwarfed by the scale of dishonesty on the Trump side. The fact that he operates a site called Truth Social, it's it's 1984. It's bizarre. It's cats are dogs, night is day, the sea is the sky. Trump runs Truth Social, you know. Um, I don't want to be too crude in this video, but FUCK, the pair of them. I really, I really, I've always disliked Trump, but I increasingly find Musk a bad taste in the mouth.